So this video I will show you how to build the Angular application to fetch the data from my API. So in order to make the application, you have to generate the model component service, and also you have to build the error handling function that's gonna handle any incoming errors from the API. And also you need to show the data in the component HTML as well. And the last step is adding the routing to your component. So let's get started. Okay, first step, you have to open up the terminals and cd to the desktop and make a new app called whatever you want. I'm gonna call it lab 7. And when waiting for the app is building, we're gonna open up the text editor, and I recommend you to download the Visual Studio Code, which is gonna support you a lot for the code snippet, and I mean the functionality and anything related to the TypeScript. So it's gonna take a while, and let's have a look at my API. So once you register the new account in my website, you want to have like two keys. The first one is API and the second one is access token. And those keys are important in accessing, like it's kind of like the authentication, which allow you to fetch the data from API. So without passing these keys in the endpoint URLs, you cannot be able to get any data from the servers. So bear in mind that this is very important set of values here. So it's already built in, and let's cd to the project and let's run the server. So ng serve space dash dash open, and let's get started. Go to the code editor and open up the project. So okay, so this is your project folders. So you don't need to worry about the E2E or the node underscore models folders. What you have to focus on is the source folders here. And inside source folder, you have to consider the app, which is everything you have to working on here. So every time you want to import any Angular module or class, you have to go to the app.model.ts and declare it here. And the app.component.html is where you're gonna nest all your component selectors in here. So all your components will be placed inside this HTML template. And the app.component.css is where you define the styling for your application component itself. But for other component that you created, it's gonna have the same set of files like this one. So let's say if you want to create a car component, you will have the car.component.css, and this CSS file is gonna apply to that component itself. But if you want to create the styling for your whole application, you will have to put the styling CSS inside the styles.css here. So this kind of like the global style for all your website, but this specific CSS file it just apply for that specific components. So okay, so we're running. So let's go to the app and let's create the models and components. So ng generate components. So your features in the final project is gonna be the car. So you have to fetching the car data from an API. So you have to create the car component. So you have to, so this is a command to generate the cars component for you. So we will have cars component here. And next step, generate the models for the car as well. So generate class and the cars. So this file is gonna place outside of the cars, but for the feature reference, you will need to move it to the cars folders here. And then last one is ng generate service cars. So those are three essential components that you have to create before making anything in the project. So, and again, you have to move the service file inside your component itself. Okay, so now you have everything set up initially. So let's go to the so let's start off with the car models first. So if you go back to my API, you will see this is the properties for each car object. So you have to define the properties here in order to match the data here with your models inside the app. It will be well referenced to your application. So there are inside the cars we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 properties that's gonna reflect the data type that returning from the APIs here. So the first one is the name of the properties. The second one is the data type of the property, so it has to be a number. And instead of the hyphen, it's gonna be semicolon here. So I'm gonna quickly replace all the hyphen with the semicolon, saving pretty much time to do shit. So I have to be string and the year. So I think it's number. Yeah, it's number. And this one is string as well. And of course, string again, string. And this one, of course, this one is decimal, but in TypeScript, you already have to declare number. Number represents or the integer, the float, the double, or whatever. So, and this one is string, and this one is number as well. And hash proof is a boolean type. So in the SQL database, it's gonna just return you 1 or 0. So you're gonna depends on what it returns. You're gonna equal the friendly message according to the returning data from here. So the last one is the date. So this is how you set up the model for your car. Okay, let's go to the car.component.ts. So this is your component, your car component file. So first step, you have to import your car models here, and you have to reference it from the folder which is a car. Okay. So now let's go to the service, because this is where you're gonna have to start working first. So in order to get a function and fetching the data from API, you have to import some sort of the library from the, I think, the RxJS. So it's going to called observable and a function, and it's from RxJS. You don't need to know everything about it, you just need to know you have to import this classified here. And in order to fetching the data from the URL, I mean the endpoint URLs, you have to import the what is it? You have to import the HTTP client and HTTP headers into your service, and you also have to declare it in the app.module.ts itself here. So let's go to here. It's kind of like very hard to remember, so that's why I have to go back to my previous project to get it. So you have to import the HTTP client module here inside your app.module.ts, and you have to import it to the ng module here. So hyphen HTTP module. Okay. Okay, you on setup, go back to your car service.ts, and in the constructor function, so to be able to use the HTTP client class, you have to initialize it in the constructor function. So call it like HTTP with the inherit the class HTTP client. So this property is gonna inherit the HTTP client class, so you can be able to use any function from here. So we're gonna set up the API. So my API, we have some sort of the endpoint URLs, the API key, the access token, the component, which is the table name, and the last one is the component keys. So you have to declare it inside your application. So let's say we have to declare private, because the reason why I want to create the private properties is because I just want those properties only accessible from inside the app, not outside the app. So anything outside, anything trying to access from I think that anything trying to access outside from the car service is not gonna allow them to do it. So private API key string private API token string and private com, which is your table name, and private API URL string. Okay. Just copy that endpoint URL here to your app, and those value you can get it from the website when you log into your account. So this is my API access token. Okay. And the copy, of course, is going to be cars, because you want to fetch the cars data from my API. So now you see in the API URLs, I have some capitalized letter here, which you will need to pass in the variables that you predefine in here. inside the URL here by using the concatenation. So double quote plus sign, and between the plus sign you have to pass in the API key. Do the same thing with the access token. Double quote plus sign this dot API token, and double quote plus sign this dot com. And the com key for now we just leave it because we just want to fetch all the data from the cars, not just one data. So just remove that one. Okay, so you have done setting up the API environment. So now you have to create a function to request the data from the API URL here. So let's create a function called get cars, which is going to return all the details. So get cars. So you're going to observe any incoming request from the incoming response from the server, and it's going to observe uh, the I think it's going to observe the cars array object. So we have to import the car model as well. So car. So we're going to observe any returning cars array objects, and we're going to return when it's getting result from the server. So then we don't have this one. Yes, so return this dot HTTP, which is this one, and we're gonna get result, returning result in the car array objects with the so we're gonna get the car array object by getting requests from the API URLs here. So this API URL. Okay. So first, this function is gonna observe any incoming data from the server. That's gonna return the set of result in the car array objects, and then it's gonna get the car result. It's gonna get the car array objects by fetching these URLs here. Okay, so this function getting the own data from server, and we're gonna create another function called get car by IDs, and inside here we're gonna create the parameters which allow the function to pass in the IDs, and then we're gonna inject the API URLs to request the data based on the ID that they input in. So it's going to be ID number. It's going to observe. It's going to observe any cars array objects, and we're going to return this, the http.get car, and then we're going to fetch the API URLs here as well, but this time we're going to pass in extra query string, which is uh, the component keys here. So we're gonna push the string here, but this one we're gonna pass in the IDs from the parameters here. This ID, this ID, okay. So whenever you call this function in the components here, you're gonna pass in the IDs and then this ID is gonna inject to the API URLs in here and request the data just like we do in this URL. So you see, so this is our URL. They passing the comment key number 2, and then it's gonna return the row number 2 from the cars table, and this is how it works. Okay, so now you have set up the two functions. One return all the data from the cars, and one return the data, the car details based on the ID that they passing. So now you have to go to the car.company.ts and inject your car service class here. So inject your car service class into your cars.company.ts. Import car.company.ts.form car.service with that .ts extension, and you have to okay, so in the constructor function you have to you have to initialize the car service in order to use those functions in your car's component. So private car service, inherit the car service class here. So now you can use those functions by using this car service properties here. So now I'm gonna create the empty arrays, empty car arrays. It's gonna obtain the data that is returning from the function here. So it's gonna call it public car array equal the empty array, and we're gonna create a function called get cars, and it's gonna be, so we're gonna access the car service, this car service, and then we have two options, get cars. So we're gonna get cars, and we subscribe the data, and the get cars function from the service, it's gonna return the result, and this result is gonna assign to the empty arrays that we have declared here. So this does, it's gonna be equal result, just simple like that. So okay, so now, so this ng on init function is kind of like the onload function on JavaScript. So everything you pass in here is gonna load up when the application is opening. So I just want to load this function whenever I open up the application on the browser. So I'm just gonna put this function inside the on init here. So if you refresh, nothing is gonna show up. And one thing you have to do is you have to reference your car's component inside the root component.ts file. So go to the app component.html, remove everything here, and nesting your car's component inside your app component.html. So now you will see the content change. So this is the content from the car's component. So now go to the cars.component.html. You want to so this function is returning the data that fetching from the car service to the API, and then assign the returning result to the cars array object here. So what you have to do is in the cars.component.html, you have to look through the cars properties here in order to output the outcomes to the browser. So what you have to do is go to make the like, so like let's say you want to make a table, or like it's just make a div, it tests so li. So each of the element HTML element here, we act like the block. So do you want to loop, do you want to make a loop, what you have to do is this is a syntax for each loop in the Angular language. So star ng capital F for equal and double quote, and inside the double quote you have to use this syntax, so let, and you declare the variables which gonna obtain the result from the cars property. So let car of the cars. So this cars represent this car's properties in the cars.component.ts, and this car is your variables. So this one gonna fetch is gonna, so every time you look through the cars, it's gonna assign the result to this car, and you're gonna get the properties from this car. So it's really hard to explain this concept, but I think you will understand when you see the result. So inside here, I just, if I want to output the, like let's say I want to output the make, so what I have to do is, so car dot make save, and I go back to the browser. Something wrong. So let's say I want to change this one to better. That's weird. So card of service. It has to be right there. Get own cars. What the fuck? Why is showing this error? Button. Cars. Okay, subscribe. Okay, car. This car. What the fuck? Probably this car doesn't exist. It's fucking here, bitch. Yeah, so it works. So something wrong with the Angular compile. So now you're fetching the data from the APIs. So let's say you want to output like everything. Okay, so now let's make the table data. So th, tr, th, id, and the car, ran, t-body, tr, td. So tr is gonna do for loop, and g for let car of cars, and in here gonna do car dot id. And here we're gonna do car dot time model. So we're gonna do models, car dot model, car model, and we're gonna create another one inside your href. Gonna view details. So if you go back to the browser, you see you have unlisted data from the API. So now we're going to make the routing request in order to, when I click on the view details here, it's gonna supply the ID of that row, and then when I click here, it's gonna pass that row ID inside the get car by ID service, and then returning the results. So in order to have the routing in your Angular projects, what you have to do is import some class and library from Angular. So go to the app model.ts. You have to import the app routing models. Yes, app routing models. Yeah, let's go to app model.html. Import app routing models. Or actually, you don't need to do that. You have just need to. Oh yeah, they have the CLIs to generate the app routing models for you. So you just need to do the ng. Okay, so ng generate module called app routing dash routing flat. Oh, that's double dash flat and double dash module called app, I guess. Yeah. And then it's gonna generate the app routing module for you, so you don't need to import it manually. Okay, so if you go back to the app module, okay, I don't see. So if you go back to the app module, you see the system already import the app routing module for you, and you see there's a sudden change. So they generate two files, which is the app routing module and the app routing module.ts. So you just need to focus on this one. Okay. I think they only include this one. So app module.ts, yes, they only import here for you. So go back to the app routing module. You have to import the router module and the route inside the app routing module.ts. And next step is import all your components you have so far. So you have the cars component, right? So you have to import your cars component inside the app routing module as well. So cars, if you're not sure what's the name of your component, go to the cars folders and go to cars component.ts. So this one is your cars component. So you're gonna import this one in here. Run device cars component. And once you import everything in it, you have to set up the route arrays which gonna impose on your routes. So routes is gonna inherit the routes class, and we're gonna create the set of arrays objects. So the path is gonna be, so let's say I want to create the path which is the cars, and the component reference to the cars component. So whenever I put that URLs in my apps like this, it's gonna direct me to the cars component page here. And also I have to make one more thing is the cars ID. So cars ID and details with the IDs. So this one is gonna be the number that I pass in in the link here. So this is how you define the custom the I'm not sure what it's calling, but this one how you define the parameters that you want to pass in the routes, and also components. It's gonna be the detailed components, but we never created, so now we have to create it now. So ng generate component details. Okay, so now we have the details component here. So what I have to do is import the details components in the app routing. So import components from details component, and I'm gonna reference the components to details component. So whenever I access to this route here, it's gonna direct me to the details component apps. Okay. So now go back to the app.component.html. You have to remove this one, and instead of removing this one, you have to put in the navigation. So a.href, it's not href, it's going to be route to link, and it's going to be cars, which represent the path that you define here. Well, actually, we don't have any pretty much pages to navigate from the root component. So what we have to do is we just put the router outlet here, and go to the cars.component.html instead of the href. So the router outlet selectors here, which allow you to navigate to different components within your app. So without this one, if you do the routings, you're not gonna be able to direct the user to the different component inside your app. So this is what you have to pay to be careful of. So whenever you create a routing, you have to put the router outlet selectors inside the app content.html. Okay, so go to the cars content.html. You have to reference your routing here. So using the router link, and go back to here, copy this one, and inside here you have to pass in the car.ids. So if you go back to lab 7, it will not show anything. Custom schema. Oh, I think. Oh, I forgot one thing. So you have to import the. So go back to your app routing module. You have to export the raw module first, and then import it back to the ng module, and reference the routes that you already defined here. So okay, export route module, and here we have to import the raw module for root, and inside you have to pass in the routes. Okay, now go back first. That takes so long. Inside here you can just define the route link with the cars. It's gonna reference your cars component. So here goes your cars. Oh, it's not start with a slash. So we have to remove the slash from here. Okay. So now if I go to the, so I just remove this. Gonna show me the backbone of the app company itself. The route ls will allow me to direct the user to the cars component. So the click here is going to direct me to the cars component. So if I hover to this link, you will see the IDs changing according to the row ID. So my job is to, when I click on this button here, it's gonna navigate the user to the details component and fetching the API according to the ID that you're passing. So go back to, so you have to go back to the details dot component.ts, import your the cars module here. I mean the car module is from cars. I think yes, cars. And you also have to inject the car service into this one as well. So again, car service, and in the constructor function you have to initialize the car service. So in order to use those functions, so car service, and here you have to create a function called car get car by ID, and say it's gonna go car service dot get car by IDs, and in here you have to create the number that represent the ID that pass into the detail. So I'm gonna create the default ones, and also I have to create the cars object, car, and I create a function called get num, so return nothing, but this one is gonna be num equal. Oh, so inside here you have to put in the two class. So one is activated routes and one is location. So you have to include this one into the details of app components, and also you have to initialize into the constructor function. So route. So private route is going to be route module, which is this one. Actually, so activate route, and the private location is going to be location, this one. Okay. So basically this function is gonna assign any ID passing from the the class.component.html and assign to the properties from the details component. So it's gonna be equal. It's gonna be equal this dot round, which is this one. Dot snapshot dot map parent map dot get the IDs. So you're gonna capture the ID that you define in the app routing module here. This is a special variables excluded by the explanation, expanded by the special characters here. So you're gonna pass in anything with the ID, with the variable called ID. It's gonna capture the value from this and assign to the private num from here. So we see cannot find num. This remain okay. This num. So let console log the num. So this car service is gonna, so once you assign the ID passing from the car's component to the detail, it's gonna capture the value and then assign to the num, and then you wanna pass in the num value inside the get cars by ID from the car service. So this num subscribe the data assigned to the these cars equal data. I think I'm gonna change the public, but I want to access this outside of the services. Okay. So now I have to do is initialize this one on the onload function. So let test is on. So if I refresh, if I click on this, okay. So if I click on this, it's going to return me the number 5. So if I put 7, it's going to return me number 7. So this is how it works. So whenever I pass in the value in this route, it's going to capture the variable called IDs in the routing here, and then assign that result to the variable that I have declared inside my details component here, and then I'm gonna use that ID and then pass in the red car by ID service function. So now just remove this one, and now if I go back to the details.component, I can be able to echo out the result from the cars here. So if I go to the detail component HTML, and I'm gonna echo out the results. So let's copy this one. Okay. Oh, what you have to do is you have to initialize this one inside the get init as well. Before we just making the function, but we never call it on the init function, so that's why it's showing no data. So now it's showing you the data from the API. So if I refresh, it's showing the data. So if I go back, click on video code, it's gonna show me video code. And if I want to show the full details, I just simply make now row, and so let's say I want to output the price and field type. Okay, price, field, year. So okay, price, is it just a price? Okay, field type and the year. So we go back to the browser. You see I output the details according to the row ID here. So here we go to the number 5 and show the result according to the ID that I supply in here. So one more thing you can do with the routing is doing the location. Okay, so this location back. So you can do is make the button. You can make a button in the details of component. So it allows user to navigate back to the where it is to navigate you to this details component. So click, it's gonna be go back. So let's say go back, and here I'm gonna call this function in the details of component. So go back, it's gonna be this dot location dot go back. I think just back. Yeah, it's gonna return nothing. So you go to this one. I could go back. So I go here. This one. What? I think I have to import one more thing in the app module is the other one to import the forms module. And I don't forget I'm not remembering the syntax. Yeah, so you have to import this one as well. So import the form module. Okay, so now you can be able to go back to, so this location, this is where you declare the location in your details component. So it allows user to navigate back to their parents. It's like the previous location. So let's say this is your first starting point, and then when you click in here, it leads you to the ending point, right? So if you want to go back to the starting point, either way you can click on this button in the browser, but you can just click on the button inside the app here. So you click on this one, it's gonna direct you back to the previous location. So it's kind of like the workflow from from A to B, B to C, and it's allowed you to navigate back from C to B or B to A. So this is pretty much everything covered from the lecture 1 up to now. So this contains how to create the model component service and the routings. Okay, so I hope you understand how it works, and ask me any question if you get stuck.